You're listening to the How to Talk to Girls podcast,
where you'll learn step-by-step how to meet and seduce beautiful women. Whether you're looking for one night of fun, a week-long fling,
or a long-term relationship.
I'm your host, Trip, and the episode starts now. Hey, Trip Kramer here from tripadvice.com with another episode. And today we're talking about something that, I don't know how many guys are going to want to listen to this episode, because I know a lot of guys, are really interested in the beginning stages of courtship, which is basically what this podcast is founded on, right? It's called How to Talk to Girls. But really, I think it's really important that we still discuss things that happen later on, once you get into the relationship, once you start to meet that amazing woman or any woman that you end up meeting when you're going out there and dating. Because if you're listening to this, that means you're interested in meeting women, you're interested in talking to girls, and so you're going to get to that point eventually. So I do want to delve into some topics that are not necessarily just about, the beginning stages of attraction. But of course, we'll always talk about that because there's always so much to talk about in that arena. But today we're talking about love. I think I have a couple of episodes on that, but I haven't talked about that topic for a long time. And I get a lot of DMs from you guys. By the way, if you don't follow me on Instagram, you should check me out, TripAdvice. Of course, just called TripAdvice with 2 P's on Instagram. Follow me and send me a DM. I can't really get to all of you, but I do respond to a bunch when I can, just to say hello. I can't sit there and give you advice on there. Sorry about that. Just I'm too busy with coaching clients and making podcasts and YouTube videos. But send me a DM and just say hey, and I'd like to say hey to you back, so follow me there. By the way, I will interrupt myself again because I just mentioned coaching. Coaching is available right now. It's not always available. Sometimes I have so many clients that I need to just shut it down for a little bit so I can really focus on the guys who have signed up. But if you're interested in applying for coaching and seeing if it's a good fit for you, go to tripadvice.com/coaching. What I do is I offer multiple programs where you and I can work together and we can discuss your dating life and how to get it on track, give you a customized plan to be able to meet and attract the kinds of women you want in your town if you are not having a successful time doing it. So apply. I don't accept everybody into the program. I'll give you an example of someone I didn't accept into the program. He barely filled out the application. He literally said maybe 3 or 4 words in some of the questions. And that just shows me that you're not really as dedicated as I'd want you to be. And I want to work with guys who are dedicated. So check it out. Again, coaching, and do it at tripadvice.com/coaching. So back into the episode here. We're talking about love. Is love real? Is love a real thing? Can it last forever? What is it? What are my thoughts on it? Well, I'll give you some thoughts. First, let's start at the beginning. Let's really dive into this topic of love. What is it? What is it? Okay, it's something that people say. Okay, why do they say it? It's a feeling. It's a feeling you get when you're with someone. It's a feeling you get when you have extreme attraction or infatuation for somebody. It's a feeling you get. Some people call it the butterflies, right? Like you feel all kind of nervous and giddy to see them all the time, to have sex with them, to spend time with them, right? We maybe call that love because you don't necessarily feel that when you first meet someone, although I get a lot of DMs from you guys that are saying that you are so in love with this girl, but you guys haven't even been on a date yet. You guys haven't even hung out together. You guys haven't even had sex yet. And you're getting this confused. That's not love. Love is not something that happens when you don't know a person that well. What I'm trying to say is love is something that happens when you get to know all sides of a person. So I don't think that love or that feeling of infatuation counts. We call that just infatuation. The chemicals are really flowing in your brain. The oxytocin is the chemical in your brain that gives you that kind of warm, fuzzy feeling when you really like somebody. And that's flowing because there is a woman who you were attracted to and it wants you to mate with her and stay with her. This is some of the evolutionary biological reasons why that feeling exists. But in my opinion, I don't see that as true love, okay? I see that, like I said, as infatuation. And I believe that love is something that occurs when you're really getting to know someone. I just said a second ago, when you see all sides of somebody. I actually did a YouTube video on this a few years ago. It was called When to Say I Love You to a Girl. And I discussed in that video that you should say it when you've seen a woman that you're dating in multiple emotional states, okay? So this means that you've had multiple experiences with her. This means you've probably gotten to know her on a sexual level, right, on a physical level. And you've seen her in all these different ways. You've seen her sad, you've seen her happy, you've seen her stressed, you've seen her confused, you've seen her angry, you've seen her irritated or annoyed or calm or pleasant. It's like you've seen all these different sides of her. So why am I saying this? Like, why do you need to see all these different sides of a girl? Why do you need to get to know her so well? Why do you need to spend so much time with her? Because I believe that love is something that happens when you really get to know someone and you say, hey, I know this person. I know this person pretty well. I've seen them in all different situations, and I've kind of decided that I accept them for who they are. Now, a lot of people get into relationships and they don't accept the person, and they can still feel love. I still think that exists, but I don't think it's the kind of love that you might have when you really, really accept a person for who they are and respect them for who they are, right? You see their habits, you see how they live their lives, you see how they treat stressful situations, you see how they act with their friends, with their family, you see how they do with their work and how they just handle life. You see how they interact with other people. I think I already said that one. So you're seeing them in all these different ways, and you're like, wow, I just really respect and like how you do things. And I'm attracted to you. And I enjoy my time with you. I think that is closer to what love might be. Again, we're talking about really accepting a person for who they are. Like I said a second ago, not everyone can do that. Some people get into relationships where they want to change the person, or they're like, well, this person would be perfect if it wasn't just for this one thing. And that's fine if you feel that way. But I just don't think that's really the kind of deep love, at least the deep love that I'd want you to have when you find someone. This is, of course, if you're looking for one of those monogamous committed relationships, which a lot of guys are, which is why I do a lot of episodes on that. So, that's the thing here, is that that's when love really hits. When you're like, wow, okay, this person's cool. This person is a friend, but also a lover. It's like this combination, right? It's like anyone who's a really good friend of yours, why are they your friend? Like, just think about it in your head, why they're your friend. Probably a lot of reasons why you respect them, you enjoy their time, meaning spending time with them, right? You just have a good time with them in general. You guys have things in common. So let's just make this simplified and let's add the sexual component to it, right? It's like that's the thing that you have in addition when you are dating someone serious, right? So you have that sexual passion behind it. And a lot of guys get confused. They think that that's sexual passion and wanting to spend time with someone and have sex with them all the time is love. But I just don't think it is. So how long does it take to really get to know a person? Because some people think, well, man, I've fallen in love so quickly, and I'm in a month, and in 2 months, in a day, love at first sight, whatever you want to say here. But I really believe that it takes time. It takes time. You can't see all sides of someone. Plus, you can't see all sides of someone so quickly, mainly because they're going to be putting on their best behavior. Right? When you first start dating them, they're going to put on their best behavior, just like you are, right? You're going to do your best to be your best self in front of them. And of course, that slowly starts to fade. You get more comfortable in front of someone and you kind of loosen up, and maybe you don't be your best self all the time. Maybe you show them that you can get angry or irritated. You show more sides of you, right? It takes time to be that open and that vulnerable with somebody after a long period of time, to show those sides of you. So that's why it takes a little bit of time. That's why I've talked to a lot of my friends. They've told me that they've said, I love you somewhere between 4 and 6 months. I've said, I love you too, to a handful of women. And I think it was also 4 to 6 months. So I would say that's probably the factor there, right? It's probably somewhere between 4 to 6 months. 3 is just too soon. Unless you're spending a boatload of time with this person. A lot of time, but even so, you need that time. And so that's kind of like the first phase of love, I believe. I've never been past the first phase. I'd say the first phase is, when you say I love you and you do love them and you've been with the person for a while, maybe multiple years. But it transitions to something else that I've only heard about and don't really know about, a different type of love. It's not that kind of infatuation, hot and heavy love that you first feel in the honeymoon phase, which goes, I think, up to like 18 months, maybe 2 years of being together. And then that kind of slowly starts to fade. And maybe you stop liking them, or maybe it grows into something deeper. And that's that second phase, that deeper part of love, that part where you really have such a deep found respect for this person that can only exist because you've spent so much time with them. You've been through thick and thin with them. You've had multiple experiences with them. You've been through fights. You've made up. There's so much richness that have happened in the relationship, a lot of experiences. Maybe you've traveled together. Maybe you've made friends together. You've started new hobbies together. You've tackled goals together, right? These things bring people closer. Of course, again, the bottom line here is time. And I think it moves into that. Again, I can't speak too much of it because I never experienced it. And it's really hard to discuss in great detail something you haven't experienced before, but that's what I've heard. And then it goes even beyond something like, 10, 20, 30 years, people get married and it becomes even deeper. And then maybe you have kids and it moves into another phase. That's what I've heard. So, it's a scary thing because when you end up falling in love with someone and you say, I love you, and you put yourself out there like that, it's scary because you've gone a distance with them, right? So the higher you go, the harder it's going to hit if you fall. So a lot of people do get nervous to do it, but I'd say it's a really cool experience. Like I've said, I've been through it before. I've been through it before a few times. And, when you're in it, it feels good and it feels awesome. And you just learn a lot. So if anyone is out there who's scared of it, I was actually in an Uber yesterday and God, this guy was so jaded. And he was so aware that he was jaded, but he didn't care. He was still extremely jaded. Basically, what ended up happening was he asked what I did for a living. I said, I'm a dating coach. He goes, oh, really? Interesting. And he starts talking about his relationship. He goes, I just got out of an 18-year relationship. And this guy was in his early 30s, maybe my age. And I go, wow, 18 years? What, you guys met in high school? Yeah, I met in high school sweetheart. He didn't give me the grand details and story, but I guess she must have cheated on him or did something terrible to him. He mentioned it was just completely fell apart. And I asked him, because I love asking this question. By the way, you should use this if you ever meet someone who's telling a story, who is interesting at all. You just ask them this. You say, oh, what's the one thing, whatever, depending on the context of what it is. Like ask them one thing, like they can tell you one thing about whatever they're talking about. So in this context, I said, what's the one thing that you learned from this 18-year relationship? And what he told me was fucking sad. He goes, never trust another person. It's funny too, because he didn't say never trust a woman. He said, never trust another person. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, dude, you're jaded completely. He goes, yeah, you know what? I think I am. And the guy's been through some hell and back, I guess, in this relationship. And it's sad because that's really poor data, right? Like that's poor data. Okay, you've been with one person since you were 16. Who knows why you guys even got together? You were young. And this woman who you've been with didn't fully come into themselves because you don't mature until you're, in your early 20s and mid 20s, and you change, right? You change a lot over the years. So he's jaded and says, never trust another person just because of this one experience with 18 years. So I'm coming from this story and belief in my own world because I've had multiple experiences that you can trust people. You can trust people. And, some people you can't. That's right. It happens. You can get cheated on. You can get your heart broken. You can pick the wrong woman. Whatever happens, But still, there's a lot of experiences to be had out there, meaning there's a lot of women out there to meet. And so I encourage you to go out there and try this. Again, I don't want to convince anybody. It's more of an encouragement. I'm never going to convince anyone the type of relationship you should have. If you don't want monogamy, you don't want one person, you want to, you want to do like an open relationship or polyamorous relationship, but you don't want any relationship. You just want to have sex with girls. That's fine, man. Do you. Whatever makes you happy, as long as you're not hurting anyone, right? That's my belief. Is like, if you're not doing anything illegal, you're not hurting anybody, then just do whatever you want. But if you are that person who's like, no, I'm listening and I want to be in that monogamous relationship, or I am looking to fall in love with somebody, yeah, do it. Experience it. Get your heart broken. Go through it. It sucks. Relationships are hard, but it makes you stronger. Hopefully. Sometimes it can tear you apart, but that's kind of life, right? We go through these experiences and they can break us down. It's up to us if we want to build it up. We want to build ourselves up and become stronger from it. So it's something to think about here. Something to think about if you're looking for that type of intense connection with somebody. But just know, I wouldn't, say I love you or really trust your crazy, oxytocin-filled, infatuated brain until you've spent a lot of time with someone. So I think that's kind of the theme here, right? Spending time, getting to know someone, really understanding if it's someone who you do have those love feelings for. Again, not just the chemical, not just that feeling, but that deep found respect and that acceptance. I accept this person for who they are. I accept them for their flaws. I accept them for their likes, their dislikes. And if you can find someone where that happens, bravo, my friend, because it doesn't happen often. I'm not really a guy to talk about soulmates. A lot of chicks talk about that, soulmates and things like that. I don't believe in like one person for everybody, but I do believe that it's rare to find someone who you really can have those love feelings with. So if you do, hold on to it because that's awesome. But I encourage you also to do a lot of dating to find that person and don't settle. Don't just do it because it feels good. Do it for the right reasons. Do it for the right reasons. Finding someone who you really enjoy being with, not just someone who just fixes your loneliness problem, but someone you enjoy spending time with. I want you to think about that. Okay? So this has been a good episode, deep episode here. Don't forget, if you're looking to get further down your dating path and you want to learn how to meet more girls and get over your approach anxiety and learn how to talk to girls in a way that gets them sexually interested in you, I encourage you to also fill out an application on my website, tripadvice.com/coaching. Go apply today. And if you fill out the application, you're over 18 and I feel that you're a good fit for the program, I will schedule a call with you. We'll get on a call. We'll see if it's a good fit. So go check that out and hope this episode helped you. Looking forward to the next one. As always, talk to you soon.